Senator Merkley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to both of you, and thank you for the work that you're doing. I want to echo Tim Kaine's concern about transnational repression. The Congressional Executive Commission on China, which I chaired the last 2 years, has done a lot of work on this, and it's just been such an expansion. I just want to mention people like the American citizen Rushan Abbas, whose sister, a Uyghur doctor, continues to serve a 20-year sentence for the crime of participating in a terrorist organization, meaning that she's being retaliated against because her sister here in the United States is an advocate for human rights. And I do not see how we can tolerate a relationship in which the Chinese are targeting American citizens. Now, they're not the only ones, but they are the biggest perpetrator of this, and every other country is looking at this and going, can we adopt this model as well? And I know the State Department, Secretary Sherman, is taking this seriously, but I want to mention a couple things. One is that there has to be a sense that other diplomatic efforts with China all have to involve saying this transgression against people in the U.S. is a red line. And I just don't feel we've elevated it to that. Second of all, I spoke with the FBI about creating a particular tip line specifically for transnational repression, or specifically from China, because the FBI wants people to call their general tip line, and then they've been referred to a most wanted tip line. And it's like, no, you've got to have people who speak Chinese, who understand the culture, who understand this history, who we can circulate that connection where they know that they're going to have an experienced individual on the other end of the line who can work with them and not get them into more trouble, not endanger, if you will, their folks, their relatives back home more. But if we want to truly understand the scope of what China is doing, we have to have much better feedback from the Chinese community, and we're not going to get it through just a generalized FBI tip line. So I just wanted to mention that and say I think this is something that I'd like to persuade the department to pursue, that I think would be helpful in understanding the scope and starting to address it in an effective manner. And I'll just pause and see if you'd like to share any comment on this.
So thank you. We quite agree that transnational repression is a terrible, terrible situation for so many. And as I mentioned earlier, the Secretary of State and I met with families here in America who are concerned about their Uyghur families abroad, as well as the fact that families are repressed in Xinjiang because of advocacy by family members here in the United States. And we raise these issues with the Chinese in every appropriate meeting that we can. We are working hard to shut down so-called police stations, which really go after the diaspora here and Chinese American citizens. So I think your suggestion about the tip line will certainly go back to law enforcement. We work very closely with the FBI, which shut down the police station in New York. These are very tough issues, but I understand your concern for them. It's quite horrible.
We are absolutely not going to get a sense of the scope of the problem if people are directed to some generalized criminal line. That does not work. You can't publicize that among the human rights community and have people trust it or feel. Secretary Ratner, I wanted to turn to military deconfliction with China. And deconfliction is extremely important when you have tensions with another country. We went all through this for many years with the Soviet Union over concerns, especially the risks of nuclear war. But we can't have deconfliction if the other side won't pick up the phone. How are we doing in deconfliction? And I assume we have some recent evidence from having responded to the balloon over the United States.
Senator Merkley, thank you for your question. It's a really important one, and Secretary Austin has said repeatedly how important it is that we have open lines of communication between the United States military and our counterparts in China. That is because we need to communicate our priorities. It's because our militaries need to be having serious conversations about strategic issues like space and cyber and nuclear
All very important, but my question is, how are we doing on that? How are the Chinese responding? Are they open to it? Have we built better lines, or is it really still a big problem?
It remains a problem, Senator. We have, Secretary Austin has met with his counterpart face-to-face, both at the Shangri-La Dialogue last year in Singapore and again in Cambodia in November. However, over the last several months, the PLA has continued to view the mill-mill relationship as something that they turn on and off to express displeasure with other things that are happening in the relationship. We think that's really dangerous. We continue to have an outstretched hand, including immediately following the downing of the balloon, and unfortunately, to date, the PLA is not answering that call.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.